Well, it's been a while, YouTubes. Let's chat. So it's been about 4 years since the VQ blew up. And again, you know, mechanical experience, but I couldn't even be really bothered to put on my own coilovers or anything like that. I mean, I knew how to, but it just would have been quicker and easier just to pay somebody, you know. So I really didn't do a lot of that. I did interior work and I did all my electrical work and amps and, you know, things like that, and air suspension installs. And, you know, I was good at designing, you know, the cars and directing other people to fiberglass them exactly how I wanted. But long story short, I have no experience in any major mechanical. And all I'm going to say is that, you know, with the help of some people, you know, my buddy helped me weld up some stuff here. But yeah, it's done. It needs an alignment and it needs a full tune, but this is the dry sump vette LT, first one in a Z. So go over a couple things. This isn't going to be the best video in the world because, like always, I video with my phone and that shit sucks. And I'm also not going to edit, so I'm just going to be pressing pause here. But anybody that's actually watched this YouTube channel or wherever I post this, I feel like I kind of owe this to you, even though I'm completely burnt out and 4 years down the road here. So first things first, there's the blower. We use DSX water manifolds, run the water lines back through here, and then actually out of one of the vents, like the water drains here, down. And then we have hard lines that run underneath the car to the back to a soft line that goes up to the trunk. I'll show you that shortly. So this is 4-inch stepping up to 5-inch for the filter. It's going to get funky. We're going to have to make some sort of heat shield to go over this thing, just because the exhaust is right there. But, you know, it's not like it doesn't matter with the whole, you know, hot air intake, but you have to realize that that supercharger is a hot air intake, and so it's being massively cooled with, you know, huge pumps and its own water supply and its own heat exchangers. There's the dry sump tank nestled down inside there. Yeah, the packaging on this got wild. That's our Ford, Volvo, TRW, basically the exact same bottom half. It's the same pump that's on almost everything with power steering other than like Opel or MR2s, but that's the same thing that's in Porsche Cup cars. Made our own reservoir for it. You know, it does have to breathe a little bit, and I'm hoping this doesn't get too funky driving around. I'll just put a sock over it if need be. But that runs out to this cooler here. We used a Mopar style, aka both the inlet and outlet are on this side because of the dry sump tank. Usually LS style are over here. That is a Griffin 3-inch radiator, I believe, 30-inch by 28. It's pretty big. We do have a, you know, like a vintage air style AC condenser in front of it as well. And then the back here is a single Flexolite Blackmagic fan. You can't really see too much, but yeah. So that's 3300 CFM. It is fully shrouded, fully sealed. The cool part about this is people are like, shrouds or no shrouds. Okay, well, yeah, you want a shroud so that way when the car is just sitting there, that it's going to, the fan is going to be forced to pull air through the entire radiator, so from all the sides over here. But then when you're driving down the street, you know, you want to make sure that the fan isn't really much of a function anymore. So you want to make sure that there's a lot of open area. Well, with a big 15-inch fan, I mean, it's more than half open. So we should be good with that. and without having to need flaps or anything like that. This is the oil cooler. Just goes back over here, and the lines go down and underneath the car and all that good jazz. Oil filter is tucked underneath the frame rail here, kind of hanging. Yeah, so everything is mounted to the bash bar. This entire coolant array. We used some Gates heat shrink tubing, so that way we could minimize the amount of T-bolt clamps that are on there. So it just makes it very easy to tell what needs to come off to get things pulled off. So right here, to get the radiator and everything off, pop off the intake, pop off that guy right there, or if you wanted to, you know, we actually pulled this whole thing off to pressure test it, and I just took both of these hoses off here, and then pulled the entire thing. But long story short, it's all bolted to the bash bar. So everything mounts to the car on the bash bar mounts onto the car, done. Right now we've got everything running to a single catch can. We cracked it open. We threw a bunch of steel wool scrubber in there. This is vented atmosphere, so nothing is ever going to get sucked back into the engine. Zero problem with that, but fitting's a little low in the bottom. That's for the top fitting is for the PCV deletes and the valve covers. Bottom 12AN is for the dry sump tank. That might be a little much for that one little tank catch can. So I might pull this guy off later and then just route it up to like a Kevco, either sit it right here or inside the fender well in there, because I've got a ton of clearance since it's wide body and it's got wider suspension arms. So that is my overflow. It's fed from some a PTC line and high temp DOT hose, so that way if it ever actually boils, that hose isn't a problem. We use vibrant cores, 12 by 12 by 2 inch, and we made these on each side. You can say above there, there's actually, it's just tied off for now because the splitter is, obviously the car's not put back together because we still have to do, you know, some basic work. But that is the, right there, that is the radiator drain. So I've got an 18-inch, actually it was a crimp connector high pressure fuel line from my CGM fuel system off the Z. And I just put a petcock on it so that way, you know, it's real easy to drain the fluid out of the system as well. So, bring you over and show you a couple more things. All right, so we've got 5.5 gallons of mostly distilled water, some water wetter, and a little bit of coolant in here. And this has a drain that allows you, actually the drain comes out, let's see, what's the easiest way to do this? One of my old air suspension exits. I just use PTC and drain it right out of there. If it doesn't drain fast enough, I've got a little 12-volt pump. But that's that. Yeah, I'm showing you my coolant. Back behind here, we're going to have a Stewart EMP pump, which is the big supercharger looking thing. Very expensive, but high flow rate, even when you have to go far and there's torque issues where it's, you know, everything will flow. All these pumps that you see on YouTube will flow good. You know, just as a test, you know, with like a hose and a bucket. But as soon as you start going up and down and around and through things, they lose pressure real fast. Amplifier is mounted over here, kind of tucked in. What else? All the water lines go down through the trunk floor there. It's all 1-inch water line. And then over here, we've got the single air compressor and the vibration mounts for the air tank for the air cups in the front. I always thought the back of these seats is so cool. So you can see all the truck panels. Behind this panel is a lot of power items and term strips. Running power behind this one. There is a defeat switch in case you ever wanted to disable the fuel. We did that so that way we could turn the key on before this tank was actually full, had any fuel in it, so that way the pumps weren't running dry. But yeah, and then you still have access to both of the fuel pumps through that false floor that just pops off. So continuing there, we did finish up the exhaust. You can see the soft lines that go from the hard lines next to the diff, and then they terminate right there with that nice tab, and then the water lines come right up into the trunk floor. I actually learned how to burn titanium hardware on my own here. It's kind of cool. I painted the rear bash bar and steel it with a black color, and then I'm probably going to have to use a bigger muffler here. This body is just too small. It's loud as all living hell. So that's a 4-inch inlet exit with, I think, like a 6 or 7-inch body. We're going to have to step up to one of those oval-sized cans because it's just real loud and real drony. The exhaust is the same back half as what we had built before for the Z when it had the VQ turbo in it. So it's 4-inch oval. Pretty much from the trans tunnel back, and then we made a 3-inch Y pipe basically to turn this into a big single, and that's off of the LOJ header collectors. Interior is still kind of taken apart. Got to figure out what we're going to do with the center, the radio. But I had the interior done in all Alcantara. Al Vincent up in Canada made the speaker pods for me out of the A-pillars. All the carbon dash work was the stuff I had from years ago from Fab Vilches. Hope you're okay, dude. Fab went MIA. We don't know where he's at. It's been years. So anyways, that being said, the switch covers, the door handles, they're I took the switch covers off and sold them to my friend Julia, and then these are actually reskinned by HR Composites. And let me show you the interior. Todd Jubert Interior Shop here in Phoenix, Scottsdale area did all the Alcantara in my interior for me, and this turned out sick as fuck, not gonna lie. And then Jake at Masterpiece made these. These are the only stick-on pieces, but it's speaker hold delete caps. So it's actually kind of nice. They just blend in. But this is the basic view now. Again, we haven't figured out what the hell we're going to do with this, but Joing had me do a software update, and I lost the buttons, so the ability for this to rotate and then for the screen to switch is gone. So the whole idea was just to mount that behind the Workshop 12 trim. It's a 10.1, but I don't know, man. If it ain't one thing, it's the other. Was able to make a shifter adapter. This thing is nasty. The transmission we used is a brand new Tremec T56 Magnum XL. So it is like the Magnum F that everybody hears about. That's an F body transmission for, I believe, Camaro. This is a Magnum XL. So it the shifter, the location, and the transmission body are all one piece, and it's longer. So it fits perfectly with the LOJ mount brackets and the drive line and all that stuff for the Gen 5 engines. This transmission is actually out of a Ford, well, it's not out of a Ford Mustang, but it's for a Ford Mustang, an S197. And then we had to do an adapter. Diedrich Motorsports makes an adapter for the pilot bearing, for the crank snout, for the input shaft. So, yeah. Cadillac CTS-V brakes, GM Corvette C7 Z06 engine, and a S197 Mustang transmission in my 350Z. Anyways, man, this turned out badass. I'm gonna give you a little view of what this do. Love the glare. Okay, so that's just a basic whip up dash that I made. Sky's the limit in terms of what you can have done. You can choose, you know, different opacity for all these different gauge designs and move them around and scale them different. So you can actually Photoshop images and move them around, so that way the gauges work on your Photoshop image and do all sorts of custom shit. Case in point, let's, well, hold on, go away. Yeah, so that's incorrectly set up. That gives you an idea. You can see over in the corner here, it's actually got buttons on the dash. They're virtual switches. I actually removed things like the electric power steering and the electric water pump for the supercharger used to run off of these, but the switches reset every time you turn off the car, so you'd have to turn them back on when you got in. I thought that was kind of dumb. I wired up a volume switch, if you will, a nice heavy aluminum volume switch for the power steering assist. Let's see if I can get the camera down there for that. Can you see shit? Nope, of course not. Anyways, but down here where the OBD2 port used to be, there's a nice heavy knob for the power steering adjust, and then there's a defeat button. So if I'm sitting here right now with the key on in the car, I don't have a bunch of pumps and shit running. But if I undo it, you can hear everything start running. So those are just tied to ignition. So as long as the button is not pressed in, they just turn on when you turn on the key. Yeah, I just did a reset on that. I had a really cool background done on it with a new car launcher, and long story, Join brand has been kind of dicking me around, but anywho, obviously the updated white illumination on everything. Bob Hickey did all that stuff for me quite a long time ago. Yep. Same with over here. And then down here where the power window switch used to be, I had a really nice button made from what is it, like custom built buttons or whatever the hell it is, something similar, but this is out of Australia. So key on or key off doesn't matter, you know. So if the car's just sitting in a garage and you still need a lifter to tow it, you just tap this and the car lifts. Do that and it drops. That's it. So yeah, now the part you guys have all been waiting for. Let's start it up. I can't let it run for too long because it's loud as all living hell. It is going to kill out the mic. It's going to sound like an Altima because it's going to go from like 100% decibels to like 10% because it's so loud in this garage. But I got to show you guys, we did it. Oh yeah, about this transmission, it's got a tick short shifter on it as well. Billet short shifter. I made a little adapter piece to be able to retain the Nissan TWM shifter I had, because this thing is absolutely badass. But look at this. It is effing amazing. Nasty. Oh, Tilton twin disc, ST246 clutch. Huge shout out to Tilton on that one. They partnered up, you know, with kind of a partial deal on that, and I also did their hydraulic throwout bearing, and then the RGM clutch. I haven't put them in yet. Excuse my feet. But 380 Nismo RS gas pedal, new dead pedal, new dead pedal trim, and I haven't put them on yet, but I finally have new pads to replace those as well. Why not, right? So, without further ado, that's enough. Oh yeah, lights. Like, what the hell is it doing? Fun times, guys. So, this two-piece splitter is kind of a test mule, by the way. Later on, I'll just have this all cut out of one piece, but yep, carbon diffuser tunnels from Professional Awesome Racing. Massively needs an alignment. I think this is like -4 degrees, and the other side is like -6. Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll need that fixed. Obviously, the alignment on the back is still as it was before, still nice and beautiful. But yeah, guys, I'm waiting until it's all said and done before I put this car completely back together. Wrap anything, because I just want it running and not leaking and tuned and easy to tow and get up and onto lifts and dynos and all that stuff. But she done. And a huge shout out to Optima for a new yellow top. And then Anna over at Optima as well sent me over their digital charger and maintainer for it. So there it sits. Those are my my heater hoses. Still utilized the 350Z CZP aluminum bleeder. Custom-made swirl pot. Yeah. 21-pound Moroso cap. AFE intake. 1 7/8" LOJ headers. Bronze Cerakoted. Excel, whatever, the super high-end ceramic plug wires. Factory, just, factory GM coil packs. Speed Engineering built valve covers. K-Tech 103mm throttle body. Cordes OEM style Grip Tech upper pulley. DSX 12% overdrive lower pulley. Hiding down there is a DC Power Inc. alternator that has been re-pulleyed and custom mounted. It would normally go right here, but obviously we have space issues. Couldn't even fit it back there because we'd have to notch the the actual unibody of the car. So we mounted it down on the bottom. You can see pictures of it on my Instagram, but we're actually running it off the blower belt in the lower corner. Holley billet low mount AC compressor, Sandon ST7 compressor. I think that's the what is it, a CFW or whatever is the brand. Who knows? But anyways, all the oil lines are 10AN. Oil lines and fittings for the most part, and anything super important like oil lines, dry sump or oil cooler lines, those are all finish line factory. I got away with some water fittings and water lines. I mean, it's like Evil Energy, 12AN water line. 12AN water lines from Evil Energy didn't do too hot. They were the only leaks that actually happened on this whole install. We put it together. Everything was tightened up, threw fluids in it, and we had leaks down here and over here. On the heat exchangers, there was some pinholes in the welding that we had to fix too, but other than that, moved over to AC brand, I think. Still got them off of Amazon, but they're like, 30 or 40 bucks a piece for these stupid things. Going to end up doing a billet supercharger lid for this. I don't know what color yet. And might paint and powder coat some things, but I am going to be moving over to, for those that weren't aware, during the build process, I did strip the entire engine bay, scuff it down to nothing, and then repainted it with what you see here, which is Steel It. Very popular paint. And I think Bright Titanium looks bomb as hell with it, so that's what we're going to use. Still more to come. The car isn't finished, and I'm sure you guys want to see it driving and ripping around. So thanks for sticking with me this long. Key point is this shit almost broke me in half. Let's just say it did. It probably did like 90 million times. But I fucking did it. And you can too. Just ask people questions. Don't give up on your shit. I mean, know when to say when, because this ruined my past and probably ruined a lot of my future too. But don't give up. It's just a car, man. You can figure it out. So thanks for sticking with me this far. It runs. It starts.